And just run. I did solder them ends on yonder on both sides. Yes, I did solder them on there. That's I think that's 7mm, and that's not that rubber. That's that black woven cover. And the reason I put that magnet on there is I wanted to make sure that this spark plug wire was the right length before I cut it off, and I could position it the right way. About 1 hour later, got myself a pretty decent, I actually did have to get out a new file there, but I did end up with and what I done there, I thinned some of that there layout fluid, thinned it down there really thin, just enough to get a color on there. Put that thing in yonder. I've probably had it in and out there a couple of dozen times, and I've ended up with just the high places is all you file away. And the way I've ended up with there, I don't know about the camera light and all of that right there, but here on site, and I just pulled it back out there to look at it, and I've probably ended up with about, I'm going to say 90% at least, maybe a little, well, let's just go on 90% contact. So I did spend a little extra time on this one right here. But what I ended up with is a gib key, and I'm going to put a little oil on it there. No anti-seize needed. They didn't come from the factory with any, so I don't see any need to put it in there now. This was a used gib key. I elected not to put a new one in it just because of what it is. I'm going to put a little oil on there, and then I'm going to set this. I'm going to set this right. Probably should mention something to you. Lining up these crankshaft centering. And there was a comment left as to the hammering effect sideways that would, if there was any gap here, it would pound those Babbitt bearing faces there. And no, it will not do that, because if everything's in straight line here, there is no side movement. It's all in a straight line. So there's no pounding effect to the side. The reasoning aside from the governor adjustment is, and that will affect the speed that your engine runs. If you have a large gap, if you can move your flywheel assembly on your engine backwards and forwards, if you have a good amount of play sideways, then that play, if you have the engine on a out there in the yard and it's tilted this way, the flywheels will migrate that side, vice versa over this way. And let's say you have a 1/16. Let's say you got 1/8 of play there. Some engines do, or a 1/16. Whatever that play is, then it has influence on where this flapper is at, because if them flywheels are over that way on that 1/16 of an inch, then that will be a 1/16 of an inch that way. If they're over here, then that will be over this way. It just stands to reason. And another comment was about Loctite on that thread insert in there. And no, if you put a thread insert in correctly, you don't need no Loctite on it. And another gib keys are not. Most gib keys are made out of 1018 steel. They are not some exotic steel. Just 1018 will make you a gib key, and you can make a gib key over there on the milling machine easy enough. Another question is, someone said that they would make that alignment pin in there on this collar out of tool steel, and actually that's not good. You should just use a 1018 again, mild steel guide pin. Tool steel or some exotic hard metal is not good there. Even drill bit shank. A lot of I have seen that used before, and that's a bad idea, because they do need to be a weak place in that governor collar system for a couple of different reasons. Another comment was balancing these flywheels from one engine to the other, and kinda, I think, from having them on the test machine over there, the stand, I think that they are not to be confirmed, but I think they are balanced individually. Most are. And you can see on this flywheel right here, it has 3 holes drilled in it, and they are varying depths, not all the same depth. And this one also has 3, and they are quite deep. All 3 of those are quite deep. And these over here, it has a deep one and 2 shallow ones. The counterbalance on these flywheels is the when they cast these, there's a void in here on both sides. That's the counterbalance. That makes the other side over here heavier than this side, and it corresponds with the throw on the crankshaft. So the flywheels do have a counterbalance, as well as the crankshaft don't have a physical counterbalance on it. So they did it with the flywheels. Wow, usually don't talk this much, do I? Another question. But first, I think the rule is the thickness of the key. This one's 3/8, and I think the rule of thumb is the thickness of the key should be how much that sticks out, that gap right there, and that's pretty close to what that one is. So we okay there as far as the book. Now, one of the other questions was there ain't no wire on the outside of that. Ain't no wire on the outside of that flywheel there where a belt's been going. And there is an instance where that you would use a belt on the outside of the flywheel, but very few instances. 99% of 99.999% of the time you're going to use a pulley. And this is a original pulley off of one of this type model, Type M McCormick Deerings. This pulley, and it only has a gap right here that goes about halfway down, and that is to fit over that pulley. And this pulley, to be correct, it should touch the flywheel. You don't want your pulley out here like this right here. You don't want no distance between that and that. That should be up there correct. And it's got a set screw down in yonder. And the set screw, it does not have a key in this pulley that goes all the way through. And that goes right there, and then you put that set screw in there, and the set screw goes right down in that gap there where that key would be, and you can see right there there's been 2 different pulley positions on this flywheel, on this crankshaft, and not knowing what kind of pulley it was, I cannot make the call if it was correct. But if it was a original pulley, then it's looking down in yonder. It's exactly, if I can show it to you, if you look down in that, I don't have no set screw in there, but if you look down in that hole right there, that place on that flywheel right there is exactly in that hole. So this one has been on here correctly. But you just put it up there, tighten up that set screw, and you use a pulley on it. Now there were several of them. This one right here happens to be a 4-inch. Measuring it across through here, that's a 4-inch pulley, and all of them's about the same length, 5.5 inches long. Flat belt pulley, and they are a straight. It's not a coned pulley. It's a flat pulley. And to get the piece of equipment to run, the belt to run straight, you would probably have a coned pulley on the piece of equipment as a rule. One pulley would be coned. But that's original pulley setup right there. And the reason that we could put this pulley all the way up yonder to the flywheel is because this is the correct width out. And to put that in there, I just put that there drift punch there and took the large hammer and set it tight. Brass. Now we'll be alright on that. Let's get on to something else now. We still got that gas tank and that fuel pump to go. The muffler that's on this engine right here, I just put it up here as a mock-up. This would have been original type muffler on this engine. It was a two-piece cast iron thing, set screw to hold it on there, and it's zigzagged inside there, and the exhaust comes out around here. That's the original muffler that would go on a Type M. And this a street elk and a short length just threaded on one end 1.25 inch pipe. That made up the original exhaust system. But it's kind of you end up with a sharp sound with that kind of muffler, and I don't care for it. It's just, that's the bottom line. It's like I was made a statement in another video maybe, that you know, it's your engine, and if you want to yell a spark plug wire on there, put it on there, you know. But and this is one of the areas that I do make a let's say a concession, so to speak, is in the exhaust system. And y'all see me make these right here in another video, and it's one of them glass pack mufflers, and that's what we're going to use on this engine right here. And I'm just putting it up here and kind of explaining it to you at this point. And the next time you see it, I will have applied some thread sealer on the threads, and I will have tightened it all up, and most likely it'll be painted. This with some high heat paint, black flat. The report, the sound out of this kind of muffler to my ear is quite mellow, a pleasing sound. So that's the exhaust system, and next time I'll put that on there off camera, but that's the exhaust system we're going to use on it.